Very good.
This island in southeast. This very attractive landscape has really been changed, if you like, or molded by the many peoples that have inhabited this area. And we know that they were living in this area way back when they were hunting and being famine. So I've got wonderful little towns surrounded by the vineyards, dominated by some legendary old castle ruins. And it's the vineyards in particular that are very famous in this area. As well as to the Dutch tribe, and there's also open up on top of the hill. And it all has to do with the King of England, Richard the Lionheart. So they say that Richard was held prisoner here in this castle. What happened was that he supposedly managed to offend the Dukes of Austria during a crusade to the Holy Land, and was subsequently arrested as he attempted to find his way home via Austria after being shipwrecked off the Italian coast. So the story goes that he travelled in disguise, but apparently made the mistake of trying to pay with a meal with an English coin. He was then recognised, arrested, and kept in his castle until the English paid a huge ransom, which was used to build a new city, which had called New Start, which was New City, which is to the south of London. Well, which answered them, of course. Climate. Also, because I can see a fabulous team have created a special little drink for you this morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe we're serving you a special coffee.
That's coffee with chocolate liquor. Sure. Lots of chocolate liquor. Here. Lady, excuse me. Okay, so coffee.
So it's part of your somewhere, ladies and gentlemen, to very proud. I see how wonderful so one of those ones have those in children in Austria, and the tiny little sweet apricots from the back are very so sweet after just as much as the wine is. The Austrians were pre-ordered. That's our coffees.
Cool.
And you know how you used to have the camcorders that were so big? And
Yes, yes.
Well, this is all miniaturized now, and it's 4K,
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, well, that's the
60
resolution.
frames per second. You can't
Wow.
get, you know, it's as high as resolution as you can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, let us see the screen here.
And
Is
it's,
it on
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, it's on now.
Oh,
and you can see, oh my gosh, how cool.
Oh, I knew he was.
So it's an Osmo.
It's a DJI Osmo. Pockets free, they call it.
Yeah, that's Mel.
Yeah, there you see it.
I'm gonna have to type that down.
There. Your mat, you can see.
Just pick it up and point it around.
Okay.
Because I like to, when you're traveling, you don't want to carry a big camera. These are good. It's so heavy. It's so heavy.
The problem with your phone, they run out of battery.
Yes.
So these things will last.
Forever.
I
Yeah.
was talking to you about the Marillion, which are famous, and something else that they make with the Marillion from this area is a famous schnapps.
That's awesome.
A lot of the European countries like to have a
There you
schnapps
go.
at the end of a meal. Here in Austria, it's no different, particularly during the winter months.
You're not recording right now, are you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you are. So then
See
you
the
can-
red light?
Oh, okay. So then you can delete what you want.
Oh, I deleted. Yeah, when on some of these walking
so
tours,
is it
like
listening to us right now? Then?
yeah.
Jim
Watch what you
Edgerly.
want.
Jim Edgerly from Wisconsin.
There you go. Got it recorded there.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Here, particularly here through the Wachau. Now you can see coming into view perfectly the white church, the old original foundation or defensive walls that Ferdinand I ordered. We had, I'll explain it to you in a moment, but the Ottoman Turks actually used the Danube River to force their way into Central Europe, which is why they were defending themselves against the Ottomans. Right.
No, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so it's always that. Good morning. Yes.
Don't worry.
Grab a chair. Grab a chair.
So here you can see the two towers and the little ferry that's sitting over there on your left hand. You can make out the steel cable that's on the over the river. But the doors are so
You do your line. Just we walked downtown.
That's great. Water level so you can rise with. That you're going to see 7 little terracotta rabbits. Because they're rather worn these days, but you'll be able to sort of make them out, particularly if you've got some binoculars. Or you've got a camera with some legs on it, but you can also see this little this one's clearly. These 7 little terracotta rabbits.
Yeah.
So it's not things that they need to know about each term, each minute, how many locks, where are the locks, what are they going to do, we talk about in this section, in that section, etc., etc. So those pyramid markers are incredibly important for the captains, for them to sail at any time, but particularly when they're studying to
Right,
get
right, right.
their license.
Yeah.
For reasons, you know. Sudan, you may not always know where we are, but if you know what flag is flying from the point and towards the back of the ship, then you'll at least be able to work out what country we're in. So we'll change this a couple of times on our journey. We're in Austria now. When we go to Germany, we'll change that to the German flag. And when we leave Germany and enter to the Netherlands, we'll change that to the flag of the Netherlands. And then on the back of our ship, which we can't see, but we'll have some pictures, we are actually flying a Swiss flag. And the reason we fly the Swiss flag on the rear is because that's where the Viking Valley is registered. And the one in the middle is a little better than the other. I'm trying to. Still have the position of putting up the maypole on the first of May every year. So they're still standing, and that is a complete pine tree. So they split all the lower branches, and they leave the piece on the top that looks like a Christmas tree. Then they decorate it with the ribbons and the colours of the village. And then there's festivities. It's a public holiday on the first of May, so there's a lot of dancing and singing and getting together in all of these villages. Where I lived, it's traditional for the young men to guard the maypole. So the night before, the crow goes up, and it's their job to make sure that the young men from the surrounding villages don't come and knock down their maypole. This is something that goes back in history, but it's now a very good excuse for all the young men in the village to get together and do lots and lots of beer and schnapps. I'm pretty sure that the neighbouring villages could come in and steal the maypole and they wouldn't know by the scope of get themselves into during that night. But that's their job, very important for this to guard that maypole, with their lives till the first of May when everybody comes in and does the dancing around the maypole and all the festivities. Anyway, Williamsburg is famous, ladies and gentlemen, because of a lot of architectural, archaeological finds in this area. So it was during the construction of the railway line, so there's a rail track that runs up behind the village there of Williamsburg. This construction for the railroad was between Kearns and Rhine. They started the construction in 1907 through to 1909. And they started to discover a tremendous amount of everyday objects dating back to prehistoric man. So it was in August of 1908 that workers unearthed the completely intact statue, a limestone statue. You can still see the remains of some rope paint on it. It's about 11 centimetres high, or around 4 inches, and it's a statue of a paint on the left representation of an unclothed female. The arms and the legs are considerably reduced in size, while the feet are altogether missing. And what picture is one of the earliest representations of the fertility goddess. And she takes the name of the village, whose name is the Venus of Williamsburg. And she takes pride of place in the Natural History Museum in Vienna. And if you look at the village, you can see up on top of the hill, there's some flags flying, and the building with an awning. That is the exact case where they unearthed the Venus of the Allstott.
Yeah, Marianne, this is a camcorder. Press this 3 times really fast.
Really fast?
Hold it out.
Okay. Oh, oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, you're blogging. Nice.
So we had lunch and trying to be ready for our continent tour of the work this afternoon. When you see the Shelburne Castle or the watching in the background, you know. Their adventure is.
Talk about that.
Wait, what's this one? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh.
Yeah, the fair. Our ship is parked here at Melk. We're gonna go to what's the fair? What's the Abbey? What's the name of the Abbey? Melk Abbey.
Benedict Abbey.
Benedictine Abbey. And then we're gonna take the bus from there to a new location where the ship will pick us up.
Are you on 13? You're fine. You're 11. Okay. I don't know anybody on 13. Find out. What are you?
Get a picture.
Okay.
When you're short, you don't.
Jeff. I see they put you to work.
Ah, now it's your turn. He's the one-armed wonder.
My name is Matilda. I want to welcome you to the monastery of Melk. Our guided tour takes about 50 minutes, and we are going to see the museum with the history of Melk Abbey, the marble hall, the balcony, the library, and then you see the church, not by yourself, because the nuns won't inside and see the church. This is still an active monastery, and we have 22 Benedictine monks in the monastery. And the oldest is 95 years old. His name is Father Bono. And the youngest is 22, but he starts with the light of the month. And the building was reconstructed 1702 to 1709, and the last builder was Jakob Brandhauer, a very important architect. But now let's go inside and please have the tickets ready. You need a ticket to the entrance, and with the ticket you can see also the garden. Do you see the garden? Yes. Yeah. After the dining room. The garden is outside waiting for you on the left hand side. Please follow me. Now, in the very beautiful courtyard, and one of the spring is just on the first floor of the building, you see the and on the first floor, white window, and behind the room is representation, is what is inside the flat. And how it is anything and it's been 75 years old and we have in this part of the monastery the school inside a very big school with 850 people built. And this is a school with students aged 10 to 15 years. Then you have a final exam and then you can study, for example. And it's a private school, you have to pay. But it's not very expensive. You pay 100 euros a month, about $100 a month, and so I think very, very cheap. But you have no boarding school inside the whole building. Here in the middle is the very wonderful imperial staircase, and this imperial staircase leads into the imperial wing. We have in this part of the monastery 60 rooms, and these rooms were reserved for important visitors in the 18th century, because there were no hotels in the 18th century, and so the Benedictine monks had to open their doors for guests. And very important visitors were here. Later I will tell you about these visitors. And take a look at the staircase. There's a little box on the left, on the right-hand side, and this was to fix the red carpet on top of it, because this was the entrance for the important visitors. We are also very important. Sorry for carpet. But yes. Let's go over the staircase. Is there anybody who needs the elevator? Yes. Follow me over the staircase and have the tickets ready. We need tickets ready in class. You see the picture.
Good afternoon.
Just breathing. Yes, this school. It's a private school. You have to do this. It's a normal school. Yesterday. No. My son's school. He had his final exam last week. The boys and girls? Boys and girls have been students since 1967. Now we went up the imperial staircase, or you took the elevator, and now we are on the imperial corridor. And this is the longest corridor in the monastery, 196 meters, 600 feet. And this wing was intended for imperial guests, for distinguished persons in the 18th century. Because Melk was in that time about a day's journey with the carriage from Vienna, and so convenient place to stay for 1 or 2 nights. And very important visitors were here,
You see behind me, Marie Theresa, a person of the Habsburg family. She had many children, 16 children, yes. She was also the Hungarian queen. On this picture shown with the crown of Hungary under her hand. On the other side, her husband, Francis Stephen of Lorraine. And Marie Theresa was married 3 times, and 1743 she came with 250 persons, with soldiers, servants, cooks, but she stayed only 1 night in the monastery, and then she traveled to Salzburg. On this very long corridor are many pictures. Take a look on this side. Here you can see pictures showing the Babenberg family, and on the other side the Habsburg family. And this is a complete gallery of all Austrians. But now let's go into the museum. Please be careful. We have a little step into the museum. Be careful, please. Here's the step. In this room on the left-hand side, you can see a statue showing Saint Benedict. And Saint Benedict founded the first Benedictine monastery in Monte Cassino, Italy, in the year 529. And Saint Benedict wrote a book of rules. And here in the middle, you see a very old copy, a handwritten copy of the book of Saint Benedict. This book is over 600 years old. And the rule of Saint Benedict starts with the Latin word ausculta. You see here, A, a handwritten A, and ausculta means listen. The monk should listen to God, the monk should listen here again. The motto of the Benedictines is ora et ora. This is Latin, and that means pray and work. And the monks have to pray 3 times a day, in the morning, at noon, or the evening, 15 minutes. And at noon, you can pray with the monks together in the church. Then it's open for the public. And the monks have to work, and some are priests on the carriages. One monk is teaching the school, Carlos. He teaches religion and history, and other monks are working in the offices. My man is Father Lucas, he leads the tourism desk. And so they have to work and they have to pray. Under the day, you see very beautiful floor. This is a market with inlays with different woods, and you see also the green carpet. The floor is of the 19th century, and the carpet protects the floor. We have the same under this, yes. Because so many people are walking through the museum, and so we need the carpet here. But now let's go into the next room. In the next room, I want to tell you about the donation of the monastery in Viking called Stift Melk. And if you see chairs in the corners, you can sit down. Melk has played an important role in Austrian history. I mentioned the Babenberg family, the first Austrian family, and they had a residence in Melk. On the top of this rock was in the 10th century fortress, and Theobald I, he was a margrave of the Babenberg family, who conquered this fortress. And Melk was at that time the residence of the Babenbergs. But later the Babenberg family moved to the east to Vienna, they left Melk, and they gave the old fortress to the Benedictines with agriculture and forestry. And so it was donated, and donation means in German Stift. It's called Stift Melk, because it was donated. And since then, 89 Benedictine monks have been living here without interruption. And in this room you see artworks of that time, of the Babenberg time. Here in the middle, for example, in the showcase, you can see a portable altar. It was used as an altar. Inside, an open altar was a bone of a saint, a relic was inside. And during the travels, the people venerated the relic inside, and the priest could celebrate the Mass with this. And you see very beautiful ivory reliefs around with scenes of the life of Jesus Christ. The birth of Jesus, the veneration of him, and so on. The other side of the Last Supper of Jesus Christ. And this wonderful portable altar is 1,000 years old, and the oldest treasure in the monastery, yes, 1,000 years. On this side, on the video, you can see a cross, and this is the Melk cross. And the Melk cross is here in the treasury, in the monastery, with only 30 centimeters high. And on one side is Jesus Christ. On this side are beautiful stones. And the blue stones on the ends of the cross, the 4 stones, are used as screws. You can turn the stones, then you can open the both sides of the cross, and inside is a little part of wood, as big as a fingernail, and it's a little part of what comes of the cross of Jesus Christ. It's a relic inside, yes, but we don't know that. It's really part of the cross or not, but it's important for the monks and so they venerated it. And the setting is 650 years old, and it's the cross is shown through the feast days in the church, through the highlands. But now, another room is waiting for you. Be careful, we have here a third floor. The third floor is a symbol for the ups and downs in the history of Melk. They look like the waves of the Danube, but this is a symbol for the museum. The little book in the showcase is 500 years old, yes. And this was a Latin travel breviary to great travelers. And take a look inside, you can't read anything. It's written in Latin in this direction. I think they had better eyes because at that time they had no glasses, yes, and they had their things in the mind. I think you cannot read this, yes, so small. This is a travel breviary to great travels for the monks. One of the smallest books in the monastery. After the foundation in the year 1089, Melk was a very important economic and religious center. But in the 15th century, only few monks lived in the monastery, 7 monks, and they didn't live strict enough after the rule of Saint Benedict. They lived very worldly, did what they want, and so strict living monks from Subiaco, from Italy, came into Melk and reformed the monastery. And this was in the history of the Melk reform. And take a look next to the door, you see 2 paintings. These are copies of a book. The book is here in the library. It's 40 centimeters high. And the copies are bigger than the book really is. And take a look on this picture. Here you see the non-reformed monastery, the very early style of the monks in that time. On the top is the abbot sitting on a beautiful chair. He wore beautiful clothes. Take a look on the shoes. Shoes are red color. But red-colored shoes were for the Pope, yes, not for a monk. On his hand is a bird sitting, a falcon for hunting. He went hunting with the falcon. On the other side are musical instruments. He celebrated the march. He didn't live strict about it. Then you see a man with a blue bag in his hands full of money, but only money for himself, not for the poor people. On the other side is the devil with a smile on his face. This is a sword of a monk in his hand, ready for the hell. And here's a very lazy shameless monk sitting on a chair doing nothing. On the other side, the monks who live strict, then you can see the difference. Now on the top, the abbot, no red shoes, yes. He has the abbot staff in his hand, and here a very busy man with a book in his hand, and he's reading working again. And then they lived strict after the rule of Saint Benedict. They prayed 3 times a day, and they worked, yes. Very nice pictures, and the original book is 500 years old. But now let's go into Baroque time. I mentioned that the building was reconstructed 1702 to 1739, and in the next room I want to show you beautiful treasures of the time. We pass a little room. Yes, the room is very little. But take a look on the left-hand side. In this little room is a wonderful crucifix, which is 800 years old. One of the oldest crucifixes in Austria and made of linen. Yes, take a look on the left-hand side. And linen is mixed process because it's here out of the mountain, and then this speak it really is because of its mirrors. Be careful, please. Yeah? So this side a chair, and the other side, if you want to sit down. And now we are in Baroque time. I mentioned that the building was reconstructed from 1702 to 1739, and the master builder was Jakob Brandauer. But Baroque was more than architectural style, it was a way of living in the here and now. In that time, the Catholic Church wanted to create a paradise here. They wanted to show God lives on earth, not only in heaven. But it was a very worldly style, and most of the people in that time were very poor, and only the nobility in the church was rich. Here in the middle, you see wonderful treasures. There were gifts to the Benedictine monks. The people who stayed in the monastery for 1 or 2 nights didn't pay for the rooms. This was free for them. But after the visit, they gave a thank you to the Benedictines. That's very beautiful thank yous, but they are made of silver, gold, and here you can see a monstrance on the right hand side of the showcase. Do you know what a monstrance is? Monstrare is the Latin word to show something. It's like a showcase, and inside is, for example, the host. And during feast days, the people venerated the host as the body of Jesus. Yes, it's popular, and only the Catholic Church, or sometimes is a relic in the monstrance. And here you can see a little bone of Saint John the Baptist in the name of him over the bone. Yes, and during feast days, the priest showed the monstrance to the people, and the people venerated the relic inside. The relics were bridges to heaven. Yes, it was a connection to God. Yes. But on the other side are chalices. They are decorated with precious stones, semi-precious stones. Here is, for example, a chalice with beautiful paintings around with the life of Jesus Christ, the birth of him, the veneration of him, and so on. And here on the left-hand side, you can see a plate with 2 little jugs, and the little jugs were to celebrate the Last Supper of Jesus. And take a look on the top. On the left-hand side of the jug, you see a V. That means real wine. On the right-hand side is an A on the top, R for water. And so the priest to the difference between both. Yes, you know, new, this is water, this is wine. The statues in the corners are made of wood. And take a look on this side. Here you can see a statue showing Saint Joseph. And if you take a look into the mirror, then you see the other side of the statue. It's made of wood. A hole is inside, so the statue is not so heavy. And it is only gold plated with thin gold leaves. Take a look. You see one gold leaf, another gold leaf. Yes, because one layer is off, the people touch the shoes, the vestment, and so you see the gold parts better. Yeah. And here you see the color because it's so thin. If you touch the shoes, then there's nothing on the shoe. Yes. But now another room with a big picture on the left-hand side showing the abbot.
Did they have liqueurs here too? Like, isn't Benedict that type of liqueur?
Yes, yes. But here in the monastery, they made no liquor. Yes,
Oh.
yes. We have one. You can buy it in the shop, but this is not made in the monastery. The other people made it with the different things of the monastery, but they can sell it. They can sell buying. Yes, but
Okay.
it's not made by the monks.
Okay.
Here in this room, you can see a picture showing the abbot during Baroque time. His name was Berthold von Dietmeier, and he was the abbot in the years 1700 to 1739. He was only 30 years old when he was elected to be the new abbot, and he was a very important abbot because he needed the reconstruction in that time, in the 18th century. In this room, you see vestments of him or treasures of him. He had a very high rank in the society, he was very important. And take a look on the left-hand side. In this showcase, in the corner, you can see a Vesper coat. This Vesper coat was used by him during funerals, and so it's in dark color. And on the top, this is silk with golden following. On the other side is a Vesper coat, and this was used by him during feast days, Easter time, Christmas time, during the high masses. And take a look on the shoes, they're very large. The coat is very long, he was a tall man, 1 meter 80 centimeter. This was unusual in that time, the people were small, yes. And you see the mitre inside, because the abbot had the rank of a bishop, like a bishop, it's not a bishop, but the next head of the Benedictine monastery is the Pope himself. This is a exemption, and so the abbot can wear a mitre like a bishop. Yeah? And the most beautiful mitre here in this monastery is this mitre in the top of the showcase. Yes, where you see a mitre, and the mitre is decorated with 100 of little white pearls, and these are freshwater pearls from the river Danube. Okay, freshwater pearls. They're very tiny. You see a blossom, yes, and one blossom is made of 25 little girls, and also and so hundreds of little white girls are on this mountain. The abbot steps are not used today. The left one was for feast days of Christmas time, Easter time. And here you see one other step. The top is Mary and Jesus Christ. And this was used by the abbot during the high masses on feast days of Mary. But now, let's go into the next room. We count the movement to the time of Herod was the time under Joseph II. And this time is waiting in the next room. You see no wonderful treasures inside, no wonderful things, because we're now in the time of economy. And you can see it. Very simple. And now we're in the time under Joseph II. And the corridor, you saw a picture of Marie Theresa. And Marie Theresa had 16 children, yes. The oldest son of her was Joseph II. And Joseph II ruled as an emperor in Austria 1780 to 1790, then he died. But Joseph II brought the French ideas of revolution and economy to Austria. He wanted the church to be very simple. He regulated and reformed the church. He wanted to combine religion and economy. And in this room, you see some elements of him. Behind me are, for example, 2 candles. He allowed only a few candles during the masses. The message should be very simple. The priest wore simple vestments. Take a look into the showcases. These vestments are 30 years later, but they look completely different to the vestments before. Very simple, yeah? This, for example, on the left-hand side was a vestment code for funerals, so it's in dark color. And here one for feast days, used during Easter time, Christmas time, during the high masses. And they are made of leather. Outside is leather, inside is linen, because Joseph II thought that the last no more is silk, and so an idea of economy. And you see, they didn't clean the leather, and so it looks not very gorgeous. Here in the middle is another idea of him, service coffin. If somebody died, they put the coffin inside, covered with linen, then they lowered the coffin into the grave. They opened the coffin with this pulley. The coffin was opened, they all remained in the grave, and the empty coffin was pulled out again to reuse the coffin again. And recycle usable coffin, yes, one idea of economy. The people didn't like this idea. They used the coffins for months and it was finished. But I think it's not such a bad idea, because in that time many people were poor and they had not enough money to buy their own coffin. And so one coffin for the different. Yeah. But it's not a real coffin. This was not used before. Yeah? But he has many good ideas. For example, under Joseph II, the first hospitals were built in Austria. Yes, in Vienna, for example. Yes, he had many good ideas. This was a little bit strict, but yeah, I think it's a better. But now, in videos, waiting for you in the next one. But now, come on this side, and here you see a very beautiful altar. This altar was painted by Jörg Roy, a German painter in the year 1502. This was Gothic time, and it must be pictured as a double-winged altar. And it was a picture, they lost in the picture, and now you see under the wings. And during feast days, they open and close the wings, and so the people saw different scenes of the life of Jesus Christ. Jörg Roy was a painter from Germany, and he was a painter of the so-called Danube school, a painting school in the region of the Danube, and they painted very dramatically, very expressive. Take a look on the pictures. These 8 pictures were shown during Milan and Italy. Here, for example, Pontius Pilate washing his hands of guilt. Where here Christ receives the crown of thorns. And take a look on the figures around. They are shown very expressive, a little bit ugly, I think. For example, this figure here with the ugly face, or the persons here on the right-hand side. And this was the typical style of him. At that time, most of the people couldn't read and write, but they wanted with the images. They wanted to see and feel the big passion of Christ. Yes? And so they painted very dramatically. And you see the original colors. In 1502, the colors were cleaned, restored, but not repainted. And so you see very beautiful colors. You can also come on the other side, and there are scenes of the childhood of Jesus. Let's follow me on the other side. On this side are 4 pictures of the childhood of Jesus. On the left upper side is the circumcision of the 8th-day Jesus in the temple. On the right hand side is the Annunciation by the Archangel Gabriel. On this picture you can see Jesus with 12 years in the temple discussing with the high priest. This is Mary and Joseph. Here is the flight to Egypt. And on the right hand side are 2 saints. I want to show you the saints. On the right hand side is one with Jesus Christ on the shoulders. This is Saint Christopher. Saint Christopher carried Jesus over the water. And he's the patron saint of the path travelers and the travelers in Austria. That's your saint during your travel. And this man with the key in the hand is Saint Peter. Saint Peter, Saint Paul are the church patrons. And Saint Paul is here in this picture. Saint Paul is shown with a sword in the hand because he was a Roman citizen and he died through the sword. And the sword is the symbol for it. And you see another saint here, with shown as a Roman soldier. And this is Saint Florian. And Saint Florian is the patron saint of the firefighters in Austria. Yes, we have many saints, feast days. Yes, and the people like to celebrate the saints. They're important for the people in the Catholic churches. And you see the ritual colors only cleaned, restored. Gothic time, 1502. Yes, very old. In a very good condition, yes. But now let's go on the corridor again. Mind the little step. This is the lucky mechanism. I want to show you this. And now we are in a room with a very beautiful treasure chest. And this here is a treasure chest of the 17th century. During difficult times, during wars, for example, the monks put their treasures inside important documents. They closed the chest or other chests and traveled to a place where the treasures were safe. And so it was for a flight during wars, but not an easy one, I think, to having to make a big flight with this heavy treasure chest. And this here on the top, this is the locking mechanism. It's one lock with 14 latches around it. These are the latches. And you can open and close all these latches at the same time with one key. And now I show you this. I turn the key. And you see the 2 latches. Yes.
Wow.
Open and close at the same time. It's 350 years old. And it works for so many years. And now this is the little key. Not really this, but a very good key. You can see on the top, it's a decorated key. In the middle is a little star. On the right and the left hand side of the crosses, yes. And this was a gold and silver key for that time, yes, and complicated key. Not too easy to make in second hand. Yeah? I like this key. I want this key for my bag.
Yeah, really.
Yes, because I promised to find which is the right one. But I think then the bag is too heavy. And take a look here on the other side. And here you see another lock, but this is not a real one. This is only imitation. It does not work. We have no key for this. And so the treasure chest looks safe at it really is, yes. But I think very heavy, yeah. And 350 years old, made of metal, yeah. Heavy.
Wow.
The oldest parts of the building are in 2 towers. You saw the towers at the windows and the left hand side. The 2 towers are belonging to the old quarters of the Baden family, and the towers are 1,000 years old. We have 7 courtyards in this big building. And take a look into the mirror above, then you see the courtyards better. Here is one with trees in the middle, behind is one big one with the fountain, and the smaller one, and this is the school. And there are the classrooms inside, the 850 buildings, yes. Here in this courtyard is a garden, a path like a cross, and this is the cloister. And nobody can go inside, only the monks themselves. Where the monks are living, yes? The cloister. And you see the big courtyard for 22 Benedict monks. They can play football inside. But during the 18th century, 18th monks lived in this courtyard. So huge courtyard. You came in here, then across the first courtyard, this is the garden inside, but this garden doesn't exist. Then we went through a big courtyard. We went up to a staircase, down into a corridor, and down you have to climb this. Excuse me. You have here the button and
Oops.
behind the 2 windows, yeah. This is the marble that you go outside the balcony. There you can take pictures with a beautiful view, and then the marble is waiting for you. And then you see the church by yourself. We have 500 rooms in this monastery and 1,365 windows, enough to clean and polish. You look around and then you start again. It's a never-ending story for story going. It's so huge. And the windows are double windows. That's enough to clean. And this side is the motorway, the train, and the other side is the Danube and the side of the Danube. But now let's go into this room in the marble. It's a very beautiful room. It is the celebrated in so the real stone, beautiful frames. Take a look at the side, and you see brown stone around, and this is marble, also marble. We have brown marble areas. The other walls around, this is stucco. Stucco is British, glass color. Then Polish, it looks like. Then you see on this side some windows, and behind the windows, you see here, under this was in the 18th century a window made of metal. They did it and then the air into the warm air. A modern central heating system in the 18th century. But now this painting, it was painted by was a very important painting that was also idol. This is in the 80s, and the way this presents in the middle is a woman on a chariot going to lions, and this is the free for us. They are the debate and so the ceiling looks like it really is. Look at the marble, the brown marble, the side marble, and then it starts the painting ceiling. And the distance between the stucco and the color is only 1 but it looks like it really is. And it looks perfect, but it's not real perfect. Sides are perfect. And the ceiling is completely flat at the top. Yeah, this is flat at the top, and this is perfect. In works only in the bottom of the best. You have to make around for here. I mean, you better. Take a look at that. Now you see, when the middle point of the room, it looks high and good. You can see the direction. High and good, and take a look at the columns, the great big columns, are higher than the but now, the columns, and then go with me to start a and what of the others on
Oh, seriously.
Yes, now you see this only alarm on the left side. The best thing is only in the front of the room. Outside the window is not working with the animals. Yes, come to me and you will leave. Now it's not yes. Then you turn your head so you can see better on this side. Yes. Here you see the white painted balcony. This is the curved bar, the pillared pillars, and then painted columns in gray color, and the gray columns are painted in the flats. It's perfect. It's not the real wall. And this is called in French like it's an illusion painting, yeah? And it works only in one point, just outside the window. Did you see the difference? But now the balcony is waiting for you. Outside you can take photographs, and the view is not an illusion, this is real, yes. It's photograph. Street, but Lucas is the priest in this church. And on Sundays or these days, we have many masses, one in the town, one in the monastery church, yes. And a very beautiful building is this one with in the center with the green topper on the top of the roof, here on the left-hand side. This was a post office at the time. The valley Wachau in this direction. The valley starts in Melk, goes to Krems. And Dürnstein is there, Weißenkirchenspitz, many beautiful villages. And in this region, you can drink an excellent drive wine. You have a tea now. You can also eat in the summertime apricot tumblings, apricot liquor, apricot schnapps, you can jam, apricot cake. The whole time you can eat apricot things. Okay. But it's not the biggest library in Austria. The biggest is in Vienna, the National Library. And the biggest monastery library is in Richmond, is in Styria. It's another part of Austria, and there we have 200,000 books. But I think 130,000 is enough. Now we are in the library. This is the most important room in the library, but we have rooms inside with 150,000 books. We have 1,888 manuscripts in the handwritten books in the library, and the oldest is a Benedict version text, and he wrote a book, and we have a copy of the 9th century. But it's not in this room, it's another room with climate control. Here in this room, we have 9,000 printed books. And these are printed books of the 16th, 17th, and 18th century. They are written in ancient Greek and Latin or in German. And take a look on the books. You see all the covers look similar because we were bound the books the 18th century blue leather, cow leather outside. Then they printed the covers with gold letters, and so they look similar. They wanted a beautiful impression in this room because this was a room to show books before people. It was not a word. We have different books in the bookshelves. Here you see the Roman numbers. In this corner, we have only religious books and one. On this side is the number 5. From 5 to 8, you have books on law and justice. On the other side, you see the number 9 next to the door. From 9 to 12, books on natural on natural science. Medicine books are inside, or biology books, and so on. And on this side, philosophy books, and also the lexicons, from 13 to 16. And this is still an active library. We can perfectly books that we need permission to read the books in this library. Yeah, it's for research, it's for students, not for the pupils. In school, they have a simple library in school, and you need a permission, you have to do it. In the 18th century, which was forbidden to read the old books in this room with open fire. Candles were strictly forbidden because it was always dangerous to read the books with candles. And so the monks needed more daylight, and so they went to the doors, in the bookshelves, the windows were quiet. They go to the doors, went behind the windows, and then the monks began to read quiet. There's more light behind the windows. But now take a look on the wonderful globes on the left and right hand side. These globes were made by Cornell. Those were in the 17th century. And take a look at the left side of the look at six. On the other side, you see that it's missing. The before show is an island. And Australia was known at that time as New Holland. Only a part was discovered, but not the whole continent.
The wilderness, that is, but now we can look on the ceiling. I have a question to you. Is it a real ceiling or is this flat? You see the difference or is the same? You can walk in my direction and then you see that it's not raining with your eyes. And you see it really open, yes. Because in the marble hall was a flat construction inside made of wood. But here in the library they could not make wood construction because of the danger of the fire. And so they made it of real bricks. This is the difference. You can see it now. The architectural painting is static, it's not moving with the eyes. But now, in this room, we have 5,000 history books, and these are history books of the 19th and 20th century. They are written in German, but many of them are written in French or English. And here behind me, you see a very beautiful staircase, and this spiral staircase leads into the other rooms. And we have 2 rooms above, 8 rooms below, and so together 12 rooms with 130,000 books. If you want to read one book a day, you need much time, 375 years or more, yes? And you have to speak 15 different languages. In this room, we are now at the end of the tour. I want to see the photo. Thank you very much. I wish you a good travel. Now the church is waiting for you. You see here on the right-hand side the light going to this room. Then it's a spiral staircase leading down into the church. But I show you also the elevator. And after the church is a courtyard, yes. Then there's a shop, and then you are in the courtyard again. And outside the garden is waiting for you, yes. And
That's a common chaffinch. Singing in the background is the European blackbird and the common chaffinch. Well, there's a choir piped in here too. This is a cafe at the Abbey. Hear all the birds singing in the background here. I did a screenshot of Merlin, so I have all the bird names. Okay. Well, it's 6 different species.